Good evening or good day wherever you are in the world. As General Manager of Guts2Glory, I, Carl Kranking, would like to welcome you to the special live stream broadcast. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Guts2Glory, I'd like to give you a brief outline of our organization. Guts2Glory is a non-profit organization with the main aim of raising funds for disabled and underprivileged athletes and cyclists in order to help them realize their dreams of representing their country at the Paralympics. Our focus is also on the development of other disabled athletes from a basic competitive level to elite international level. We are also motivated to reach out to other disabled and disadvantaged athletes and include them as we grow from strength to strength. We constantly need to upgrade our athletes' equipment to bring it up to international competition standards, and we also want to help them with their high-performance training needs. The best nutrition and supplements are also very important. Although our organization has the support of numerous sponsors, most of these sponsors are product specific. In other words, supplements, equipment, and clothing, etc. Monetary sponsorships are sporadic and unfortunately do not satisfy our total financial needs. As a result, we are forced to organize and host several fundraising events on a continuous basis. One such event took place here at the Kranking studio at V&A Waterfront in Cape Town last year. On 24th and 25th November, 5 Guinness World Records were attempted by Guts2Glory athletes and other individuals. The aim of this event stretched much further than the actual records. The event was broadcast live via live stream in the hope that it would lend positive exposure to our organization. Of course, this live broadcast also meant that the pool of potential donors and or sponsors was vastly magnified. After he assured us of his competence and credibility to do so, Mr. Anthony van Rijn from Spin4Charity was appointed as facilitator and coordinator of these record attempts. According to evidence related to me by Mrs. Lee Weiser, Guts2Glory founder and director, Mr. van Rijn also stated at the time that he was registered facilitator with Guinness. To date, none of these records have been registered or recognized. In fact, some shocking facts have come to light during our attempts to get this matter resolved. I'd like to quote an email which was sent to Mrs. Lee Weiser by one of the athletes who was involved with these record attempts. I quote, "I received an email from Guinness World Records, Annabelle Lordy, with shocking news. The following claims that Anthony van Rijn allegedly submitted, the highlights and data, was never received by Guinness World Records as per email from Guinness World Records, Annabelle Lordy, dated 2013, 5th month, 20th at 12:46 p.m. Claim ID 404489, claim ID 407724, claim ID 406097, claim ID 404031, claim ID 404482. Spin4Charity and Guts2Glory went public, stating that 5 Guinness World Records attempts would be broken. Guts2Glory trusted the Guinness World Record representative, being Spin4Charity's Anthony van Rijn. We were informed that the following records would be attempted. A team of 6 blind male athletes spinning for 24 hours. A team of 6 ladies, of which one was blind, spinning for 24 hours. A team of wheelchair athletes cranking for 24 hours. An individual male, Aubrey Preston, who cranked for 24 hours. An individual lady, Lee McQueen, now wiser, to break the world record within 24 hours. Only after the event were we told that the blind athletes were supposed to spin and do so many kilometers in 24 hours, which left the blind athletes devastated as they were informed that they would be the first blind team ever. The wheelchair team were told after the event that they didn't make the world record because they are disabled. Lee McQueen broke the world record in 11 hours 40 minutes, but even then there was confusion from the organizer as to whether she should cycle the full 24 hours or not. On live stream, which was viewed worldwide, except for the ladies team, the rest were announced to have broken the world record. This is a serious allegation and can get very ugly, as this is fraud, as there was international live streaming where Anthony van Rijn stated that this is an official Guinness World Record attempt and that 3 of 5 attempts were Guinness World Records. This was intentional or deceptive behavior that resulted in financial or personal gain by Anthony van Rijn. What is the next step? A criminal case of fraud, as there were sponsors who gave money for this official Guinness World Record, and there's financial implications. Guts2Glory's credibility could be tarnished as we are planning for the Kilimanjaro event and need to get sponsors. I end the quote. I would like to second the concerns expressed in this email. As a result of this unfortunate incident, our credibility with our sponsors and potential sponsors has suffered severe damage. Also, with regards to donors towards this event, the damage caused stretches much further than Guts2Glory though. Other parties involved, such as the beneficiaries of funds raised during this event, Johnny G. Kranking, as well as the Kranking studio here in Cape Town, have all suffered damages as a result of this. This meeting has been called in an attempt to restore the damages caused. We would like to offer Mr. van Rijn the opportunity to issue a statement in this regard and to offer a public apology to all parties involved with regards to any discrepancies on his behalf. The sponsors involved were Spin4Charity, Guts2Glory, Fitness Breakthrough, Kranking Fitness Studio, Reflex Nutrition, GOO, Shilanga, Pick and Pay, Premier Piatti. The beneficiaries involved, Shilanga, Guts2Glory, Blind Dog Association, All Hands on Deck, which is the Children Cancer Association, and eVantage. With regards to the single male 24-hour claim by Aubrey Preston, the application was submitted on the 18th of October. Response was received from Guinness on the 27th of December, stating the record recognized by Guinea is greatest distance traveled in 24 hours. The question is, why didn't Mr. van Rijn tell Mr. Preston that his attempt had been unsuccessful, rather than prolonging the process? With regards to the 6 blind males, on entering the Guinness record, up and until the day of the event, we were under the impression that the blind team would make the record regardless of distance completed. Since it was stated by Mr. van Rijn that it was the first time ever that a Kranking individual male, 6 blind cyclists, and 11 disabled athletes record attempt had been made. On 16th of October, Mr. van Rijn was informed of the criteria for the 6 blind athletes, and he stated that should the required distance not be completed, he would resubmit the application as 6 blind male athletes or cyclists. On 28th of November, Guinness responded by saying disabilities are extremely complex, and for this reason, such attempts cannot be considered. With regards to the wheelchairs, application was made for 11 wheelchair athletes. Only 2 went ahead. 1 was added for 20 minutes. Question is, did Mr. Van Ryn take it for granted that based on the criteria for the blind, that the same applied to the wheelchair athletes? Since until today, we haven't received any form of info on this attempt. Regardless, the numerous emails from myself, Lee Weiser and Gerald Peters. With regards to Mrs. Lee Weiser's records, Guinness informed us that the record would be recognized should all the relevant documentation be submitted. Thus far, Mr. Van Ryn has failed to produce the logbook and a copy of the highlights package, which he had originally sent to Guinness, and failing of which will cost Lee her world record. Question is Mr. Van Ryn going to submit the required documents? If not, we, Guts2Glory, undertake to lay fraud charges against him. I would now like to give the opportunity to Mr. Aubrey Preston or Romano Fernandez to state their side of matters.
Okay. Well, from Kranking Fitness Studio, we are really disappointed in what has transpired. Aubrey Preston has gone to tremendous lengths to make this a successful event. Aubrey has a lot of apologies and people that supported him. So he has a lot of apologies to make for people that expected him to have achieved the 24-hour Guinness Book of Records. Unfortunately, we have now found, to a bit of an embarrassment, that we haven't achieved it. The way forward is that we want a clear apology from Anthony, or ourselves. We will also look at taking further charges against Anthony himself. We also would like to apologize for all the viewers, for all the sponsors that thought they were sponsoring an event that was legit and everything above board. And our heart and I think we're going to ask is for an apology, and that we will try to sort this thing out. And I really hope that Anthony comes up to and apologizes and sets the record straight, because this is something we cannot allow to go without being challenged. And once again, we're also getting requests from John G with regards to what is the status of the 24-hour Guinness Book of Records. And we were actually just asked about a week or two ago, and now I've got to go back to them and say that we actually haven't achieved it. It's not only Johnny G for Kranking Fitness, for Kranking, it's also for MyZone, because MyZone, which is also a heart rate monitoring system, also was expecting this to go down as a Guinness Book of Records, but now we have no record to show them as well. So our apologies go to MyZone as well for not being able to complete or have this event recorded, officially recorded. And on behalf of Aubrey, again, we apologize to everybody, and let's hope we can sort this out and move on. Thank you.
Aubrey?
Please go on.
Before I hand over to Anthony, I'd just like to state once again live on the live stream that new attempts will be made in March of next year, hopefully also on live stream. Anthony, the floor is yours.
Firstly, from the time that we started with the event and the planning with Lee and Guts2Glory, the event was an official event. It was registered. I have the documentation of, okay, and Carl has also already given the ID numbers. The ID claim, if you don't have, according to the Guinness Book of Records, if you don't have an ID claim, you cannot go ahead with any of the records. That is the Guinness Book of Records regulation. I have stuck to the regulations as and when the information was sent to me. With respect to just coming back to your question as far as the blind cyclists are concerned. I've got documentation here showing that when I did the application for the blind cyclist specifically, I applied for 6 blind cyclists, and the wording is stated here for 6 blind cyclists.
Can I say something? Sorry. Normally if you apply for Guinness World Record, you've got to put an application in, and then they give you 6 to 8 weeks to answer you, to say whether you can go ahead or should go ahead with that.
Correct.
Now, yes, you had inadvertently put the 6 blind athletes, but you hadn't waited for the answer from them to say, okay, that it has to stipulate 6 normal athletes at this kilometre reading. When you did bring that to our attention eventually about a week prior to the event, where we did try to see if we could go according to the 6 normal able-bodied men, you still then made it aware to us that it was the first time ever that 6 blind athletes had ever attempted the record. So you would then try to re-attempt to the record, reapply for the record. And in that time, even though on footage you did state that they had come second until you had actually got that answer. But the problem is that they were under the impression that they would be the first 6 blind cyclists ever to hold the record, regardless.
Just coming back to your question now. The claim ID for the blind cyclist I've got in my hand. Can I just read a section of the reply from the Guinness Book of Records? Your proposal is very similar to an existing record that we already monitor. The category that Guinness World Records currently recognizes is furthest distance static cycling in 24 hours by a team male. That is the reply back from the Guinness Book of Records.
And what date is that?
The current.
The date.
The date.
Okay, sorry, I don't have.
The date is very important.
The date is important because.
So, you know, you can either do 2 things. You can either apologize and we can move on.
No, I want to apologize, but I just want to.
You can make a statement, but put the statements in so the dates.
There's no date. I couldn't find a date.
And there's no dates to that one. So if you look at the dates that you actually apply to that, you'd find things that are not exactly.
Okay, besides, I understand what you're saying as far as dates, I appreciate that. I just want to, I'm not saying that I am correct in this. It's not about me being correct here today. It is about my apology, sincere apology to everyone that was involved. All I want to do is, I just want to do, based on the information they gave me back, for us to continue as blind cyclists. Nowhere in here did they say or mention that we are not allowed to continue, but that the blind cyclist is an entity on its own because of there's a section for what they call it. Okay, look, I'm not going to go into all those details. At this stage, I feel, yes, first of all, this was an official event. As far as the one statement you made as well, I just need to clarify with you as well, with respect to personal gain. I'm more than welcome. There was no personal gain from my side that I received from any organization, any person, as far as monetary or any other. And that I'm more than welcome to give you a copy of my bank account right from the time that we started until we finished. I'm more than welcome to do that. So I'd just like to mention that, please.
Thank you.
Right. Then the other thing is, yes, I am here today to apologize profusely, not only to Guts2Glory, to all the sponsors that were involved with this attempt, as far as 5 attempts are concerned. The Kranking Fitness Studio that gave up their beautiful place for us to host it.
Most important.
Very much so. I must apologize for that as well. It's not even an inconvenience, it's actually an embarrassment on my behalf to host something of this stature and none of the records have been recognized.
Anthony, my question, I just want to find out something.
Sure.
When you were told on the 27th of December that Aubrey hadn't made it, and then when we still tried to get responses from you after that, we didn't know about any of this. Not once did you come forward at any particular time to say Aubrey hadn't done it. But you continued to try and duck and dive my emails until I physically got hold of the Guinness World Record themselves, because then I was banking on being able to prove that the wheelchairs and Aubrey had actually made the Guinness World Record because we had the footage. So I was prepared to send that footage in for the live stream, only to find that when you had given me the documentation, I had been asking for all the documentation that you had between yourself and the Guinness World Record from day one. And we had numerous discussions about that. And at no point did you ever come and tell any of us that Aubrey in fact had not made the world record. I want to know why. You could have avoided so much trouble.
As far as Aubrey's record is concerned, when we started with the record, the information that was given to me at the time to continue was not stated other than the
Anthony,
email
my
that-
question was to you. My question to you was very simple. On the 27th of December, you got a response from them, regardless of whether you got the response, whatever. You got the response saying that Aubrey couldn't have the world record because you didn't measure the kilometer reading, and the world record had been broken by some other guys, and unless we could prove that the kilometer reading was there.
Correct.
I want to know why, after so many emails, backwards and forwards, after that specific date, did you refrain from telling any of us that Aubrey had not broken the record?
When I wanted to put in my request to the Guinness Book of Record to ask them whether that is still an acceptable record, although they sent us the information based on kilometers, none of the crank cycles had any meters on it. The only metering that we really had was the my zone, as far as what you were doing at the time, and I think it was calories. But you can't do that conversion. I do remember asking at the time of us starting whether there was a system that you could attach to the crank fitness cycle so that you can monitor it for kilometers. But coming back to your question, yes, that was my negligence, because I wanted to first reapply to the Guinness and ask them to give me feedback, whether I cannot just go to him and say it's not a record. I needed proof.
Anthony, it took you up until the end of May when I finally, people were questioning, where is your Guinness World Record? Sponsors are asking now, we want to redo this event. Other sponsors with major events that we're getting ready for now want to know where our record was. It took you up until that time to actually even try and respond to us. So I'm still asking, where you said that you had sent the footage, number one, you had agreed that you would give each one of us a highlights package with all the documentation so that each individual had one. Why wasn't that given to us? And then number two, what took you so long to follow up on such a major event? Because obviously it wasn't of that importance to you where it is to us. I don't understand what took you so long, 6 months later, to actually find out whether they had received the footage or not. Number three, you cannot find the registration slip that you had sent the so-called pack to Guinness World Record, and you do not have proof of where that went, because otherwise we could track it.
Correct.
I want to know who transferred your footage onto disk, and which post office did you go to?
As far as the transfer is concerned, I physically did the transfer from my videotape onto the disc. The reason why I didn't make the copy, as far as the discs are concerned, is yes, as far as time is concerned, I had to obviously send it through as quick as possible, but because I had the original footage, I would then be able to make additional copies thereafter. As far as the sending off the package, with respect to the logbook as well that I needed to send, I had made a copy of the original in the time as well as the receipt. In the time of me, I had changed premises at the time as far as accommodation. I had quite a lot of stuff, and everything that was packed obviously in this transfer of going from one premise to the other, I possibly have misplaced it. And the documentation that I have given you was the ones that I could find out of the pack that I did send.
So now if everything was together in one pack, like you said, why was everything separated? Such important documents.
No, I agree. That is personally my negligence. And I take full responsibility for that.
Okay. At Census, we're going to move backwards and forwards. If you could kindly just give a public apology. My heart goes out to the wheelchair athletes, to Aubrey himself. If anything, I thought I was the only one who didn't make it. So my heart was broken and devastated when I found out Aubrey. I was in tears. I phoned Romano, couldn't get hold of him. I think for me, I can give up my world title, but it was more important for me to get your world title and the wheelchair athletes. Moving on, it's a lesson learned, and we will be redoing the world record in March, and I'm hoping that you will be able to host it here again. We will get official adjudicators from Guinness World Record who will be registered no matter what the cost. I will rather pay for them to come here and we get this done properly, officially, legitimately, and let it be a lesson to be learned. And Anthony, on your behalf, it could have been something so successful. I'm just very disappointed that you didn't treat it as an urgency that you should have, that we should have had the right documentation, that you should have answered emails and responded. So to us, I've lost a lot of respect, sadly, and it's very unfortunate. So we thank you for coming forward and giving a public apology, because it certainly does help us moving forward with our sponsors and looking forward to doing another Guinness World Record. So I would just like to say thank you for apologizing, and we accept your apology and thank you.
Can I just say something on behalf of, well, not an organization, but just as far as you mentioned earlier, this is a learning curve for everyone. I'm hoping as well, this being a live stream, that every other organization out there that is a non-profit organization do not make the same mistake as what I've made. Not only, and I admit it today, that I think I took more on my plate than meets the eye. I normally host an event, one event at a time. This is the first time in history that I've tried to host, and I admit it, 5 events all on the same day. So there again, it's my extreme apology to your organization and the fact that I could not cope personally with hosting all 5 events, as we well proven now. So once again, I'm really sorry to all the organizations, especially the non-profit organizations, the benefactors, and I just want to wish you guys the best for the future, and I know you can do it, I know. And once again, thank you for awarding me this opportunity to be here today. And once again, I apologize to everyone, including the participants as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we can move on and
Start training for next year. 48 hours.
48.
46.
36.
so